No, I think Enzo Fernandez is one of the, in my opinion, he's the our most important player, but he's just one of those undroppable and player that you can replace. Like people we think, oh, just get another midfielder in there. Like you saw that was one of those passes was spreading to Cole Palmer, and like
Mm-hmm.
I love Lavia, but Lavia is not spraying the ball
We
like
haven't
that,
seen
like
that. Yeah.
Enzo, bro. It's you don't get that from midfield. There's a reason he was bought for £100 million or €100 million or whatever the case may be. So,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I love it when he balls out like this, and long may he continue. And bro, yeah, Enzo Fernandez, yeah, we keeping receipts, especially from Chelsea fans who think that, oh no, we should sell him, we should get rid of him. He's not built for the Premier League or whatnot, bro. Give Man City this midfield. Give Liverpool this midfield.
Oh, if
Give
Man
Arsenal
City
this
had him,
midfield.
fuck.
Give
Even
give
Liverpool, yeah, he would cook on Liverpool so
give
well.
Real Madrid this midfield. Give Barca this midfield. Give Bayern Munich this Enzo
Barcelona
Fernandez
would go
and see,
bankrupt with Enzo.
bro. All of this elite team, give them Enzo
Yeah,
Fernandez and see how much they appreciate him over what we do. We like PMP. We like the, for lack of a better word, the Declan Rice, the Conor Gallagher type of midfield. We don't. Some reason we don't rate the Enzo Fernandez type.
Okay. Uh
Enzo robbed an assist, man.
Oh,
and
wrong
okay.
with it.
Let's not.
It's just one or two.
that's not what.
This is the one where
I can't believe, yeah,
Cole was 1v1.
Yeah, man.
Cole puts that way like normally as well. It's crazy.
We can
Yeah.
we can talk about how well he did in this game, but like it's crazy if we're gonna start to overdo it. He had a very good game. He had a brilliant game
That
today.
pass.
I agree that I agree that he should have been man of the match, but he's not our most important player. I still don't really think he's built for the league, and I would still sell him. I still don't think he's as good as what people make him out to be for this league.
Okay, fair. Well, we agree to disagree, man.
I think he's definitely. I don't think he's been our most important player this season. It's been Caicedo for sure.
I
think he's been top 3 this season for us easily.
I doubt he's not been top 3. He's only had a handful of quality games for us.
Who would you put ahead of him this season?
Yeah, who's in your top 3?
Yeah, like this season.
Caicedo was one. I know.
Yeah, like I put Caicedo.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
Who's gonna say?
Well, actually, I think he's gonna say Palmer, Caicedo, Cucurella.
No, Palmer's not.
Okay, then who are your top 3 players for this season?
Important.
I don't really have a top 3. I think Bar and Caicedo and Cucurella, a lot of players have dipped in and out of form.
I would say Enzo has been one of the ones consistent.
If you would ask me, he has
recently, Marshall, not the whole season.
If you would ask me,
if
you'd asked me in December, I would have said Jackson in my top 3. But up now, lately, probably not. No, but Jackson has played a lot better this season than Enzo has.
Overall, no.
Yes, overall, Enzo for me, he's only had a handful of quality performances. I would still say
you guys need to remember, we can praise the now, and that's fine. He's been good recently. He did get dropped in October or September, and that was justified.
That's what I mean, Oliver.
Ever since then, he was been unreal, though.
We're assessing a whole season, Chris. Caicedo and Cucurella over a whole season have been our best players.
I'm not saying he's number 1 now. I'm not saying he's been number 1 now, Oliver. I'm saying top 3.
He's not been unreal. You're exaggerating. He's not been unreal. Chelsea fans get deluded about Enzo Fernandez. Again,
he's had unreal games, but not.
He's only had a handful of those unreal games as well. And for the most part, other than this game against Southampton, most of the unreal games Enzo has had is when he's been protected in midfield by Caicedo and another midfielder, whether it be Lavia or in the last game against Villa, Reece James. Enzo cannot play in a 2, especially the way Maresca wants to play. Enzo cannot play in a 2 in the Premier League. He definitely can't play as a partner with Caicedo. I personally would sell him. I want to get rid of him. Personally, if he's not gonna be doing this consistently, what he did tonight, and again, he did this against Southampton, who are bottom of the league. He has not been consistent.
I think we're seeing something different, Marshall. I think we've been seeing something different.
Since that patch of form that Oliver mentioned in October,
Yeah, he's been.
where he
I
got
think
dropped,
he's been really consistent. Since
his
then.
game has stepped up, and he's been one of our more consistent players.
Yeah,
in his in his bad patch.
Fine, we can agree to disagree.
He offers something different to what other midfielders don't have, and that's great to have. Like he's
I'll
really
only listen.
He offers being a defensive liability. He offers no legs.
Okay. I mean, we got other defensive liabilities
too.
We got other defensive liabilities
legs.
before Enzo, and our centre backs need someone before that. I mean, our goal.
And you're talking about other midfielders. Lavia's injury prone.
Yep.
Because Hall barely gets games, and then there's Caicedo.
The thing with me is, I'll listen to shouts for Fernandez to be sold. Like I'm not gonna deny people the right to have that opinion. I need a replacement though, because not only with what Prime said that Lavia is injury prone, there's not enough creativity in the Caicedo Lavia pivot. I watched that play against Liverpool, and our attack was sterile.
I agree. Yeah, but our attack was sterile because Palmer got a man mark. My thing is, like,
a lot of it also because Enzo wasn't in there. Our creativity plummets. This is the thing that people seem to overlook. Our creativity plummets when Enzo's not in the team. Go ahead, Prime.
This is why our best performances came with Caicedo as the inverted right back. Get all three on the pitch at the same time.
Yes, but again, when Enzo was protected by Caicedo and Lavia, so he looked a lot better because he had no defensive responsibility.
I mean, Lavia's been gone for a good while, though.
Hold on. Prime. I have to test your logic now.
Wow.
All right, we're gonna do this science experiment. Would you say the same thing? Go ahead. Make your point, and then I gotta test your statement. Would you say the same thing about? Okay, I'm not making direct comparisons, people. All right, but Prime literally just said Enzo's Fernandez's best performance, or he's at his best only when he has someone like Caicedo to defend him.
No. You're miswording what I'm saying. I'm saying again, aside from this, for the most part of this season, like in the league, his best performances have come when he's had like Caicedo and Lavia with him in midfield. So he's had the freedom.
Him.
Like I'm talking about like a full game. Like for example, against Wolves, against Brighton earlier in the season, I think Enzo had a brilliant second half in both those games.
Okay.
I said it here on the review. It was brilliant in those second half. But I'm talking about for 4 games when we played Villa earlier or towards the end of the back half of the season, first half of the season. He was brilliant in that game. Against Spurs, he was brilliant in that game as well. But he had Caicedo and Lavia next to him.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's the thing. I don't know. Are you saying that in a sense to kind of peg down a little bit the performances because he's being protected? You don't think he's as good as a player?
No. That's not protect. Okay. No, I'm saying that because he has less defensive responsibility, so he's then allowed to just play his game, or play the way Maresca wants him to play. But if he's playing in a 2-man midfield, like there's going to be a lot of games a lot of teams in the Premier League that will target him because he lacks the physicality. And that's not even like disrespecting Enzo, because I've said many times his profile of player, I actually like that. I like the technical players. However, I do also know what this league is, and unless you're like a Jorginho, where you're experienced playing deeper, you know how to play out of a press. You don't get pressed easily. You can dictate the tempo of the game, which Enzo doesn't do for us a lot of the time. A lot of these end-to-end basketball games that we have, that Maresca has complained about, we don't dictate the tempo of the game. And I'm not even saying that's also all on him. That's that's also on other players as well. However,
like Villa was not on him at all.
But he's the Villa one I'm not blaming on him. But he's meant to be our metronome in midfield. And if he's not controlling the games, what else is there? Now, for me, the great, like, as much as I said I would sell Enzo, for me, the midfield depth I want is Caicedo, Lavia, Enzo, Santos, and Leslie. I think having that as how much is that? Is that 5? Having those
five
five
midfielders.
Having those 5, that's what I wanted in the summer going into the season. Because Lavia, you can't trust to stay fit. Enzo, like, I don't think you can just be continuously playing him because he's going to get burnt out easily. Caicedo, we've seen he's starting to get burnt out. You have Lavia and Santos who just bring in legs, and they have quality within them as well. That's what personally I wanted going into the season. But what was the question you're trying to make about? What was the question you're trying to make about?
No, because like for me, it made it seem like you were trying to discredit Enzo's performances because it seemed like very much like City players were relying on Rodri as a crutch. Like, Rodri, I need you to be in the team for me to perform. It's kind of the similar take with like, well, in order for Enzo Fernandez to perform, he needs a Caicedo. So Rodri, KDB.
But you need a balance. Just like City need a defensive midfielder because they have a hole.
No, that's fair.
In the team. For Enzo, like, in order for him to have just the freedom, he needs protection in the midfield.
I don't completely agree, but I would like
a 3-man midfield for us to play, but we don't. We play with a 2, and then one of the guys in the pivot goes forward, and then a fullback inverts. So that's why I would like, if everyone's fit,
they play with a 4.
Play Caicedo at right. Well, yeah, but play Caicedo at right back and have him invert.
Robert, you look like you have a lot of thoughts.
No, I'm just listening to this the Prime giving his Enzo take, and I mean, Enzo's not for everyone. I understand that. I see him as a player that when he's playing, our attack is much more coherent and our attack flows much better and much quicker. When he's not, then as we've seen in a few games, then Palmer has to drop down and become the creator, and we lose that creativity from Palmer in the final third. I mean, we had it against Newcastle, and Palmer was able to drop down and create that counter attack for Neto that's created for Jackson, and we beat
that was happening earlier in the season, where because I remember talking about how there were games earlier in the season, or I guess in the midpoint of the season, where Palmer kept dropping deep to receive the ball. And people were saying, why is Palmer picking the ball off the center backs? You know why he kept doing that? Because the guy who's supposed to be controlling the tempo of the game, Enzo, wasn't doing that. Like the game Enzo had today, right? The game Enzo had today is the Enzo Fernandez I want, where he's all action everywhere, controlling every phase of our play. That's what I want from Enzo. But you saw him dropping deep to collect the ball off the center backs, and you also saw him affecting play further forward. That's what I want from Enzo.
Yeah, but you if asking that from any midfield, it's you are that, to me, that's a pipe dream to say, you know what, not only control the midfield and the tempo of the game, but also step forward and control the creativity in the final third. Then you are asking.
I don't think it is a pipe dream. Enzo should be controlling our midfield. No, the only reason why he was so much doing so much in the final third is Palmer was just anonymous. But if Palmer was actually on his job,
but my overall point with Enzo Fernandez is if you ask him, there's no midfield that you're gonna ask, you know what, create in the final third and dictate the play from deep at the same time. That's impossible. There's no midfield in the world football that does that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So how about I just ask him to dictate the tempo of the midfield?
But that's exactly he does that for Argentina because the Argentinian coach asked him for that. But Enzo Maresca does not ask him for that. Enzo Maresca wants his center backs to dictate the tempo of the game. And so you see most of our center backs are the ones that initiate, and usually Colwill will play directly to Jackson, which eliminates the need to have it in Enzo in the midfield.
Funny guy, that Colwill.
Play when you can bypass the midfield from Colwill directly to Jackson.
And then Maresca uses Enzo as like a box crasher. to be in the final third.
Yes. And somebody to connect and to make the switches, the wingers.
Diagonal passes.
Enzo's not. Yes, but Enzo's not necessarily the best at doing that. So
he's the best in our team for doing that.
In our team,
but I mean in general, he's not the best at doing it.
Yeah, he's not the best in the world at doing that. He's the best in our team.
No, I know in our team, but I mean in general, he's not the best. He's not the best at being a box crasher.
Yeah, hey, that's Cucurella, man. Cucurella's our best.
Cucurella's got that right now, yeah. He's good at it.
No, but I mean the role if that's the role Enzo's supposed to be playing in the team, and he's not necessarily good at it. Because when Maresca was appointed, I assumed that Enzo would be our deepest midfielder, controlling, because that's what Harry Winks was doing last year. That he would be our deepest midfielder, controlling our tempo, and then you would have Caicedo or Lavia playing the Ndidi role, being a bit more further. Remember in preseason that game, I think Leslie came on actually, where Leslie, you know that goal Leslie scored.
Was that Inter? Yeah. I think.
Yeah, I guess Inter.
I think so, where he was further forward, but essentially playing that
like a box
role,
crashing.
Where you're, but I thought Caicedo or Lavia would be doing that, and Enzo would be sitting deeper.
Yeah, but he didn't have center backs at Leicester who were so competent on the ball.
He did. He had pace and
and
Pace is best guard, not good on the ball.
No. But for the championship, they were.
Well, I mean, we can say for the championship they were, maybe, but it made sense to build through Harry Winks, rather than
Ndidi would have been the other option.
What's that? Yeah. Ndidi, exactly.
Yeah.
But in our case, you have Colwell who's competent on the ball. You have the Badiashile, you have Tosin who's competent on the ball. Fofana can carry out of the defense and bait the press. So you our center backs can bait the press and play directly into the attack. So it makes sense that Enzo be further forward than be a deep line playmaker. I will understand. I would get it if we didn't have competent center backs to do the deep line playmaker and build that play from. But we do. We have Liverpool who can feed the ball directly into Jackson in the final third. So we need an Enzo Fernandez to be in the final third, to link up with Jackson and Palmer and the wingers, and then to give us more opportunity to crash the box and to put us in better goal scoring opportunities. But again, is it his natural game? It's not his natural game. His natural game, I agree with you, is to be a deep line playmaker.
But that's how it's for Argentina. I think that's how you get the best out of Enzo. I don't think we do get the best out of Enzo. And I think that's kind of to a detriment to the team as well, because when he plays with Caicedo, you see when they play together, they're not natural partners.
But here's the thing, though. Like, I see what you guys are coming from, and I slightly disagree with the best of Enzo is a deep lying playmaker role, right? Because let's also add context to it. One of the reasons, if not the reason, he plays a deep lying playmaker role for Argentina is because you got Messi in the 10. So you don't need to be doing box crashing or creating or anything. You have one of the greatest creators in the world in front of you, right? But that aside, right? When you look at what he was doing at Benfica, he had a lot of attack-related stats that was basically why I always compared him to the opposite. He's the yin to Jorginho's yang. Like, both of them can pass. They both have good passing ability. But one is more of an aggressive passer and can find himself in goal. And the other one is more of a defender that can also be more of a possession-based passer, right? So when you look at what Enzo Fernandez was doing at Benfica, he was doing the same things like box crashing and taking strikes from outside the box. And, he was getting goals as well. So I think you have a player that has the ability to do a box crashing attacking 8 role, as well as a player that can also do a shift in the deep lying playmaker role. But as of recently, when we have asked of that deep lying playmaker role, we know that Enzo Fernandez, in terms of keeping possession, is a liability. So I think you do.
You think he's a liability when keeping possession?
Yes, 100%.
I disagree. keeping possession of the ball.
Yes.
You think he's a
I think Enzo Fernandez is a liability when it comes to keeping possession.
What do you mean by that?
Like he can get dispossessed. Like we've seen him multiple times where he'll get caught in transition, he'll lose the ball, he'll get dispossessed like that. He'll get pressed. That's what I mean by dispossessed. Not he can ping a pass and he'll find players and he can dictate the tempo in that way.
He's less press resistant.
He's less press resistant than Jorginho. Thank you very much, Oliver. True. And that is a liability for him in a deep lying position.
Okay. But it's weird though, because
it is weird.
Well, not that, but people were saying that he should then be more further forward and box crashing and scoring goals and being at the end of the plays. Yeah. But when Poch did that last season, we were very critical. I'm
glad you said that. Hold on. I'm glad you said that. Go ahead.
You were very critical and say that Enzo should be playing a lot deeper. Also, for me personally, the best I've seen of Enzo at Chelsea is that when we signed him in January until the end of the season, where he was playing deeper as like basically the Jorginho replacement as our deep line playmaker. I like that side of Enzo. I don't.
Yeah, under Graham Potter.
Best when he's further forward and box crashing.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm glad you said that because
I'm not defending Poch, by the way. No one gets.
No, I know you're not, and I won't either.
No,
I'm glad you said that because I remember in the beginning of the season. He did that with Enzo. And I always thought at the back of my head, I'm like, Enzo probably could play this role. I think the issue with Poch versus what Maresca did, right? So I think in the beginning, Maresca was kind of seeing what the players could do. So he played Enzo in the 10 position. And we saw, and I said this in my review, Enzo gets in the right positions, but the clinicality, that's goal scoring, that touch, it's not there. It's not there. He knows where to be. He knows where to position himself, but he can't execute, and that's a big problem for him. And I think
he knows where to be because he's an intelligent, like he is a very intelligent footballer. So that's why he knows where to be. But him not being able to finish, that's because he's just
that's a big factor. Yeah, exactly.
So, no, he doesn't have the instinct over goal scoring
finisher and attacker,
like in front or
fine. That's not a criticism of him.
No,
that's the thing but the difference between that and Poch for me is I just think it's the coaching. Which is right now when you see the positions he's taking, it's similar to what Poch did. He's more of an attacking 8, right? But like it's similar to the position where he would get into those 10 positions. But I think when Enzo is a coach versus a manager like Poch would tell you express yourself on the pitch. Like, yeah, Enzo can express himself on the pitch, but when he gets the ball, how do you react? Like, I think to an extent you gotta give Maresca credit to the coaching that he's done to be able to tell Enzo, like, this is when I think you should shoot, this is when I think you should crash the box, like this is something you do when you do this. This is what happens to the rest of the defense. The transition gets caught. So I think it's also education and being smarter about when he does it that makes it more effective this season versus last season. I don't know if you guys.
For me, the biggest thing is the team around him as well, because we all remember like the big problem with Enzo going forward last season was that Caicedo was on an island. Well, Poch never used inverted fullbacks until after Enzo went out for surgery.
That's very true.
And now we see that. With Maresca, where he is now using inverted fullbacks with Enzo in the team, that you can just put Cucurella next to Caicedo, and then you've got 2 men defending the space instead of 1. So it's just basic moving pieces. Poch didn't do that.
Yeah, and I mean,
game I'm trying to find, and again, fine, the opposition maybe necessarily isn't the best, but I'm trying to use this as an example. Because he hasn't played this role much under Maresca. Do you guys remember the Conference League game we played against Noah? And again, I know it's Noah, it's not for opposition. I get that. But the way he played, why are you looking at me like that, Marshall?
No, it's just funny because I just mentioned Noah before when it comes to judging Nkunku then versus this game.
No, I know. I'm not, but I'm talking about the role he was playing. where he was our deepest player and he was conducting the game.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see from Enzo. Enzo was kind of doing that today, but he was also just being all action and further forward. But I want to see him conducting the game. I think that's when he's at his best.
Go ahead,
personally,
Robert.
for me. But yeah, sorry, Robert, you go ahead.
No, I think for Enzo Fernandez, he even said it. I think this morning there's some quotes from him saying that he appreciated the coaching of Maresca. He's improved him in the role that he is there to learn this role. I mean, was last season wasn't it Gallagher as a number 10 for us most of the season?
Yeah.
And
he was 10.
He was operating with Gallagher as a 10, and now with Cole Palmer.
I remember those days.
There's different level of quality.
Yeah, but I mean,
between the
parts of it, like parts of the season, Enzo was the 10 and Gallagher was playing in the pivot. Like I said, parts was Enzo the 10 and Gallagher.
Even still, you're playing with Gallagher. The quality is just not the same on the ball.
No, I know.
Like
I know.
Those snap passes, the quick passes. You know, obviously you can trust Gallagher to have the legs to be better out of possession, but in possession, you know, it's like even with Cucurella inverting, you trust Cucurella quality on the ball over Gallagher's. You know, and it was just different. And I think in this case, you have just better technique. You know, people with higher technical ability than we had last season in the team overall. And I think, you know, the good thing that I think this discussion is here is like we have a player who can do both. He can be a deep line playmaker and be elite at it, and now he's becoming really good at being an advanced 8 in a box crusher. Like this is a profile that, like, we bought him as a deep line playmaker, and now we've got this season we've come to realize, oh, he can be quite effective as a final third player as well. So, you know, even more of a reason why the idea of selling him sounds wild to me, considering the improvement he's made, and knowing that he is a deep line playmaker, and when or if played as a deep line playmaker, he's absolutely incredible at doing that, because we've seen it multiple times at the highest of the highest levels.
He almost scored multiple times today, too. I'll also say, like, there was that cross. He nearly scored exactly how he scored against Villa, where, like, he crashed into the box, Neto crossed it, and it was just like, if Enzo had just paced himself a little bit faster, he probably would have gotten to it, and we would have been up by another goal. So I think this is a really insightful conversation on Enzo, Enzo Fernandez.
You see the midfielder of this profile who can be both a creative midfielder in the final third and a box crusher and a deep line playmaker.
Yeah.
They're not around very many, bro.
And
not around.
I can only think of one example of that personally. Gundogan. That's the only example I can think of, like, recently.
Yeah,
he was
Prime Gundo. Yeah. Exactly. Prime Gundogan, yes.
Yeah. You heard it here, folks. Gundogan is equal to Enzo Fernandez.
We'll see. I mean, I also
and Gundogan took many years to master that. By the way, I just want to.
I still have a problem also with Enzo's, like, consistency as well in terms of how he performs. But
I think he's been overall really consistent.
Okay, but we'll see, because I still think that role that Maresca is playing Enzo in, I think Santos will be better at it. I think just naturally, because you see,
I need to see
Santos
when he comes in.
Yeah, but I just think naturally, as he's just a better goal threat than Enzo.
You can say maybe he's better goal threat than Enzo, but he's not a better creator than Enzo Fernandez in the final third.
Yeah,
and so, like, you see some of the passes that Enzo played today. I love Andre Santos, but to be honest with you, Andre Santos does not have not the ability, but he does not compute that pass as fast and execute it as quickly as Enzo did it, and with that exact wheel pass and that exact timing, you know, with timing the run as well. As much as I love Andre Santos, I think is the more physical, maybe he's a better box crusher, but it's better, like, he doesn't put those balls on the plate for Palmer like Enzo Fernandez did. You know, as much as I love him, neither can Lavia. As much as I love Lavia, you know, again, this is a unique profile that we have in this player. And
Yeah.
I think he's a player that we need to kind of appreciate more rather than criticize more.
Hey, I appreciate. I don't think he's like our most important player. I think that role goes to Caicedo for me. But I do think he is, and what started this conversation is, I do think he is becoming a key player. I know Prime doesn't agree, but I think he is becoming a key player for this team, much like Caicedo is a key player and Cucurella is a key player.